Big round of applause.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, while you were filling up the room here, we had a small survey. We could have asked for gender, but I think that would be pretty, biased. So we asked for generation cohorts instead. We're going to use this information later, but those of you who haven't actually marked your generation cohort yet, please go on to menti.com and type in the code and reveal which generation cohort you belong to.
And if you're not sure which one, the definition is right here.
Well, if you're a schizophrenic, then you can do whatever. I mean, we're not. I mean, you can do whatever you want, right? So it's a free country. We are self-managed, self-organized. This is DevOps.
Exactly. I don't see a lot of Generation C right now. Generation X is trying.
Yeah. All right. Let it run until, I can see people are still voting, so we'll just wait for it's flattening a bit. We're good. Okay. Still a lot of activity. There are latecomers, maybe they're boomers, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. We're still counting. There are almost 300 people in the room, I've heard. Is that true? How many sign-ups? 275, I heard. Large number, right? This is perfect for a first post-COVID presentation. Yeah,
Exactly.
I'm going to leave it here. We're gonna get back to this later. So right now, I just wanted these numbers. We're going to use them later in the presentation. So we want to get started.
DevOps for SaaS startups.
DevOps for SaaS. We already changed the title. I don't know. We said DevOps for entrepreneurs. But the thing is that entrepreneurs, when they go into the startup business, they want to do SaaS startups. This is the trend of the time. Think big, start small, scale fast. This is kind of an acronym to, or the proverb for SaaS and startups these days. I have been working with DevOps and large organizations for quite some time. I would say 20 plus years, and trying to figure out how to transform large organization. And I can tell you, it has been painful. Really, really painful, and a lot of friction. When you try to change something, then it has, a tendency to change back to what it was, right? You can turn your back on it and back to the same, conformity that you left. So at some point, I think this is also what happens in venture capitalists. They also think that large organizations are hard and difficult to transform. So venture capitalists, they basically throw money after startups, right? So we rather want to start from scratch, right? Don't have all that transition going, and then just get going with something new and fresh. So it's attracting a lot of money and a lot of riffraff.
Yeah, they love investing in these, young people, just, pushing forward, getting out there, building on great ideas, and, trying to earn $1 trillion.
Yeah, so you would think that you end up in an environment with millennials and Zoomers, that everything is hunky-dory, right? So it's nimble, it's a fresh start, everyone is doing the right thing. But the thing is that these are not, disruptive at all. Most of these startups, they are, at best, they're just, faster horses. But essentially, despite the fact that they attract these young cohorts, they are laggards and late majority. What they do is they simply chase the conceptual idea that if I can build somebody $5 per month per user for anything, then I will get tremendous rich in a very short time. So that's what I don't need an education. I just need Twitter and a startup, and then I'm tremendously rich. Yeah, and it happens for very, very few of these startups.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna talk a little bit about myself before we continue. And my name is Simon, and I've also been in the industry for almost a decade, so a little like less time than Lars. I have worked on a lot of different products already. White label software for the insurance industry, component libraries, design systems, all kinds of different types of software, like most of you in here. And like getting tired of working with some of these old horses, I started freelancing, and on that journey I actually set out to try to do exactly what Lars talked about, like right here. Try to build a SaaS startup so you can earn $1 trillion within the first 2 years, and then you're just gonna fly into the sun, rich with a coconut in your hand. But I actually did that together with a partner. We didn't like get that far, but we actually did try to build a product, and it was called FeedHive, and we created the MVP within the first 14 days. We had paying customers on day 2, and we had a few thousand customers within the first 3 months. And that is actually, I would say, a pretty successful story, and that is basically built on some of the things we're going to talk about here. It's possible.
But we thought that all the other ones, they had shiny videos to show for their company presentations. We don't do that. We just basically we haven't done what yet. We've been in business for a few months yet.
1 month.
We're inking. Yeah, we're inking, and maybe it's incorporated or
incremental incinerators.
We can be whoever you want us to be. Yeah. The thing is that we are a company that founds companies, and we do that backed by a fund of pre-seed investors, mostly business angels, who go in really, really early in companies, and we help them co-found these companies. The signature of these companies is that they have strong founders who have a very specific idea in domain knowledge. But the thing is that they essentially are becoming a software company, but they don't have any software skills. And if you're in that position, what you normally do is that you hire a junior developer and develop something with a junior developer. That's kind of uphill. Or what you do is that you buy your first version of the product from a consultancy bureau for a shitload of money, and then you suddenly own it, and then maybe you hire a junior programmer to maintain it. Yeah.
And the junior developer is going to be like,
So it's really uphill. So we want to help these people and help them with founding their companies and developing their software. And obviously we are quite DevOpsy, right? We love DevOps, kind of.
Yes, we do.
Getting back to that later.
Yes, getting back to that later.
But when we try to teach people who know nothing about DevOps what DevOps is, then they basically, but why do we want to do this? Why don't we just hack some code and release it early or whatever? So this is essentially we're going to present our training material for these potential co-founders and investors and developers who need to be developers in a small startup. What is it that we're trying to achieve in a startup?
And I think before we continue with that, let's just talk a little bit about our principles, because when we go in and invest in a startup, we actually make sure we are aligned with the people we're going to work with, and we do that based on these principles right here, called crowd. Which is C for curious, you maintain an exploratory and an open approach to decision making. Results, you create results, you measure by results and only results. Optimize, you continuously optimize for value and you eliminate waste, right? Whole, you see the whole and you maintain a vision and you evaluate on cause and effect. And data, of course, you need to know rather than think or believe, and you need to acknowledge knowledge. Makes sense?
This is our value compass. If we get lost out there in the startup world, we go back to our values and we try to find some sense of direction in these values. But we also use them to kind of as a sustainability or a suitability filter for the companies that we invest in. They also need to believe in these values, right? Then we're good for each other. Then we're kicking it off. Yeah. Okay. SaaS as in the tech world, the SaaS is a very conform thing, we know exactly what it is. This is software as a service. This is software running on somebody else's computer, and you are essentially offering it to your customers, and they pay you money on a license fee. That's a SaaS product. But I tell you, in the startup world, it's a bit of magic. In the startup world, people tend to use SaaS to mean software. So any piece of software is SaaS, and SaaS means software. And the reason why people are chasing SaaS products in the startup world is that in venture capitalist fund, there is a very special kind of calculation algorithm for basically valuing what is a SaaS product worth. And this is an interesting approach. So SaaS typically it doesn't have a strong IP, right? So anybody can actually come and copy or do what you're doing. So it's typically not they have patents or anything like that. So this is one of the reasons why, as a SaaS product, you want to come really, really fast and really, really hard, and then you want to, basically intimidate your competition. So everything is going to happen really, really fast because otherwise somebody will steal your product. This is common knowledge in the SaaS world. This is why typically SaaS products needs a very, very precise and quickly established market fit and a shitload of money, right? Because we need that express train coming.
Yeah. You need to outbuild the competition.
Yeah, and if you can do that, then there is take you through the formula for how to evaluate a SaaS product. I'll tell you why attracting such a lot of riffraff.
Yes. So in order to really understand like the SaaS product from an investor point of view, we need to look at this. So first off, SaaS product typically gets its revenue from a subscription-based pricing model, and that means that like each month some money tick in, and that is called monthly recurring revenue, MRR. If you take the monthly recurring revenue and multiply that by 12, you get the annual recurring revenue.
And that's the latest month.
That is the latest month. So if you had a great month, now's a good time to actually look at your annual recurring revenue. Then you have the customer acquisition cost, and that is like how much money you spend on actually onboarding a user onto your platform. And it's like the lower the better here, and that is also why like inbound marketing is a hit among startups, because you would much rather spend the time high-fiving each other rather than chasing around customers trying to convince them that your product solves world hunger, all their problems, and will make the world great again. And as a rule of thumb, you want your customer acquisition cost to be 3 times lower than your customer lifetime value, CLV. And the customer lifetime value is when you have finally convinced your customer to buy your product, how much money can you actually get before they try to escape the clutches of your amazing product, right? One other very important metric here is time to recover customer acquisition cost. And that typically has to be lower than 12 months. And that means that if you lose a customer, like the time you spend earning back the money you spend actually getting him needs to be less than 12 months. And then we have churn, and this is like probably most of you have actually heard about churn. Churn? All right, I see a lot of heads nodding. And churn is basically you bleeding customers. It's negative growth, you're losing money. And what a SaaS product tries to do is actually to have negative revenue churn, because negative growth is positive growth, right? So you want to retain your customers, so they will get you more customers, and then
essentially upselling to existing customers rather than go and front load your customers. You are trying to build a setup where you can actually do upselling to existing customers who will then pull in their friends and cousins and family, and basically it takes off and you start multiplying interest onto interest. This is fun.
Yeah.
This is hockey sticking.
That is the hockey stick that'll just stick on into eternity. And one really important part here is that, as Lars mentioned before, like profit is not even a part of this evaluation. I mean, you can bleed money and still be worth a lot of money in the SaaS world. And the valuation is typically based on your annual recurring revenue, and then depending on how fast you have actually gotten above, I think it's 100,000 euros, then you can multiply that by a factor of 8 to 20. So you take your annual recurring revenue, and if you within 18 months have acquired 100,000 euros
this is
from
like
your customers,
Bitcoin,
right?
Then we're not mining bitcoins and harming our environment. We're just people are getting into this and essentially trying to get into this formula and try to just make it. And you see, we haven't talked about profit yet, and we also haven't talked about software yet. It's a numbers game, and it attracts a lot of people who know absolutely nothing about software trying to do that.
Diddly squat.
Yeah. This is quite interesting, actually. I mean, and this is one of the reasons why so many startups actually fail, because it is all about software, and they don't know anything about software. So we're trying to help them with that. So we have come up with a small booklet. We're going to take you through this. This is 10 tips that we use to train startups to understand what it is that we're trying to achieve.
Yes.
Okay. Yes.
And you can download that, by the way. It's available freely. But tip number 1 is build the right team. It is an undisputable fact that software is eating the world, and SaaS products are popping up everywhere. And this hard competition, makes it so that all the products are competing on the sleekest design, the most features, the best communities, and la-di-da-di-da. And the people who actually build these products are the developers and the UX designers. So they are notoriously hard to retain. They're hard to find. They're expensive, and they're essentially like rock stars. So actually.
We see that when people hire, when these people who know nothing about software but actually are trying to chase these numbers, start their software, and they start onboarding people who knows just a little bit about software, and that could be a junior developer, and say, whoa, you're the first one in our company who knows anything about software, you're going to be the CTO. So this is what we see out there. A lot of really, really young people actually studying on the side, being nominated CTOs in companies who knows nothing about software. And this is what we're battling, right? These are going to fail, but this is the first learning. Don't call the person a CTO if they don't have the C, right? C for chief. Yeah. Next thing is automate everything.
Everything.
Everything. This is a Mando, right? This is the way. Yeah. So we're going to turn everything into code, and that is literally everything, and then we're going to execute it plain and simple, because we are chasing these customer numbers, these CACs and CLVs, and we don't have time for anything other than everything being automated. So we need to find a way, how can we not be locked down by Kubernetes clusters and build times? We just need to get out there. This is very important. And when we say we need to automate everything, that would include pull requests.
Yes.
I'm just saying.
Automated pull requests.
Test in production. Yeah, we need to test in production. This is fun. But why do we need to test in production? And I just canceled all the pull requests, right? And now we're going to test in production. This sounds really, really awful. No, the thing is that I didn't cancel the quality gate. I just automated it. And the reason why we need to test in production is that this is where our users are, right? So we need to get out there, because the only thing that's important is actually to find out where the user. Steve Blank says that product development is customer development. So we need to figure out where are our customers. And this is why we need to be able to do customer segmentation, feature toggling, A and B testing. Those are not something, these are not a wet dream that we say, yeah, it could be really, really nice, in 20 years, 10 years from now, it would be nice for us if we could do canary deploys and A and B testing. This is not optional. It needs to be available in a SaaS startup from day one, or we will not be able to hockey stick.
It'll be a reverse hockey stick, straight into the ground. Scalability. So if I ask you how long time would take for you to increase the capacity of your infrastructure, then how long time would that be? And that is a trick question, because the right answer is it's not something you should do, and it takes no time at all, because your infrastructure should auto-scale. I mean, when users are pouring onto your platform, then the infrastructure should scale up to meet the demand, and then when the customers leave again, it should just scale all the way down. And that will also have a positive benefit on your AVS bill, for that matter. Yeah.
I mean, in this forum, it sounds like magic, right? We're some of the sharpest minds in the world, and we're gathered here today to trying to figure out how can we do auto-scaling, right? And we're trying to, juggle Kubernetes clusters and
containers,
what have you. Yeah. But
Antos
there is a solution out there, right? There is a next-gen solution, right?
The right solution, the best solution.
Ta-da! It's called serverless. Well, actually, from a software developer point of view, if you're a millennial, actually, and I'll I'll say that this is potentially not true, right? Because there were a lot of millennials here, but maybe if we did a serverless session, they would join. But the thing is that these people, especially the Z generation, they don't know ops. They don't know what it is. They think that it's an API that they use in Google Firestore. They've never heard about servers. They're just programming it. To them, there's no ops. It's all just code from their perspective.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Only dev.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and tip number 6 is listen to your customers. So a lot of startups actually fail because they, end up building the wrong thing. And listening to your customers is how you end up building the right thing. And it's really, really important that you don't fall for the misconception that it's only the marketing that needs to, hear what the customers have to say. Because, if you're a SaaS startup, then what you're building is software, and the software is the product, and it's the developers who are actually building the product, so they need to hear what the customers have to say as well, so they know what to build, so they can build the right thing. And this is something that should happen in collaboration with UX designers and a lot of other people who really come together to actually, make this a great product. And that will segue us into...
But this is interesting, right? Because if we talk about DevOps and it's about culture and silos, right? And devs and ops coming together to the same room, this is the same argument. We're breaking down silos, and we can call it DevOps. This is what we mean by breaking down silos. But we need dev and UX. I can't, what could, dev UX? DevX?
Yeah, DevOps.
But this is going to be the next generation. These are the next isolated people in the companies who need to come together and basically build something that is delicious.
Yeah.
Right?
So all the UX designers are going to go down into the basement together with the developers and sit there.
Yeah. UXers are developers, right? The next one, be data-driven. Alberto Savoia came up with the concept prototyping, which is kind of almost the same as Eric Ries's minimum viable product, but with a twist. One of the things he says is really important. He says, don't fail early, fail cheap, right? So we're just doing. But he also says, only trust Yoda, your own data. Never trust other people's data, OPD, right? Only trust Yoda. So what this means is that you don't go and ask questions. If you ask questions in Thoughtland, all you get back is a bunch of opinions, and I don't need opinions. I need to know user behavior. I need data to know what my users are doing, what they want, what they like, what they don't like. And this is why I need my customer segmentation, my A&B test, my data. This is very, very important. And there's no way around this. So what Alberto Savoia also says is that before you get money from funding, get some from the market. You need to find that fabled market fit before you are actually mature enough to get money from somebody. And there are a lot of stars up there who have never earned a dime, literally, and they're already on 2 digits in dollars in funding, but they never earned a dime, right? So you need to find that market fit before you ask for money.
Yes. So tip number 8 is easy onboarding of users. I mean, if you have a poor user experience, difficult onboarding, a difficult to use product, if you have the wrong pricing and all that stuff, you actually can't spell churn with more capital letters than that. If you fail at that, if you don't get that right, people are going to run screaming away from your platform, and you will never ever see them again. So it's super, super essential that you build first and foremost a super delicious, very nice, and very user-friendly product. And you do that, of course, together with the customer. So, I mean, a very, very easy to understand value proposition and a very well-formulated pricing, model, and of course, easy onboarding are keys to actually, get your users on board.
You would not imagine, I mean, if you want people to log onto your SaaS platform and you ask them to type in their name and their email and come up with a password, you already lost half of your potential users. This is OAuth. You just want to say, you can log in with your Facebook or Google or LinkedIn or any other account that you happen to own. We support them all, right?
Yeah.
Easy onboarding, we mean dead easy. It's got to be that easy. You got 15 seconds to get these people onto your platform, or you lost them.
Yeah. Potential only 3 clicks.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. The next thing is easy onboarding of developers. This is interesting because what we need now is that we need to have these startups up and running, and now we managed to find a good CTO, maybe even a good tech lead, but now there aren't any more money in the company and we still need a lot of software developers and UXers. And the thing is, a lot of these people, they're hard to get, but we also don't need to employ them because I need their work for 2 months or 1 month or half a month. And I might need a team of 5 again in half a year, but not now. So the thing is that I need to become, as a startup, I need to become really, really good at actually go out in the market, find the freelancers or people who can help me and hire them on an immediate interim basis. And for that, we need to actually be really, really good at coming from nowhere, onboarding users, have them be quite productive in no time, and then ship them out again. We need unlimited access to production-like environment. Unlimited access to production-like environment. So.
Yes. And the last tip is hire a UX designer. So it's really important to be design-led as opposed to being design-fed. Because, if you take the developers and that knowledge you have about building, software and what software can do, and you combine that with UX designers, what you get is an unholy combination of people who can actually build a great product. And that is how, again, you actually go out there and you create an experience people just want to buy, and they're going to fall on their knees, and they are just going to plead you to actually, come onto your product. And that UX designer is going to be a part of the development team. I mean, he is a first-class citizen. Because again, UX design, when you talk in the context of a SaaS product, I mean, that's development, right? So consequentially, he is a developer too.
A UXer is a software developer.
Yes, he is.
Yes. All right. This is where you can shoot, right? Now, this is sum up. We're done, right? So, all on one plate. The thing is that we would like to basically wrap up on the cohort analysis earlier. So, one more slide, and then a video. Of course, if Valk and Lego can do videos, we also have a video for you. Going to show you after this one. This is a modern version of the Conway Law. Basically saying that Conway's Law said something like, show me your organization chart and I can tell your system architecture. This is something basically saying any organization that sets off on a certain tool stack, processes included, will remain on that stack until eternity or end of life, whichever comes first. Either the company dies or Microsoft stops supporting Windows 95.
Yeah.
Something like that. Then you start, considering what can I do without Windows 95. So this is actually very much tied to the stack you start on. You will be stuck to that, which is also one of the reasons why serverless is such a perfect, way of going, because you become stack averse.
Exactly. Yeah. And now we're really quickly going to show the video, right?
Okay. So what do you need besides a miracle?
Guns. Lots of guns.
Neo, no one has ever done anything like this.
That's why it's going to work.
We need unlimited access to production-like environments, right? And we're going to get that without actually having any ops or DevOps in the basement. This is a complete generation of no ops. Everything is code, and yes, we need unlimited access to production-like environments.
Thank you.
This is it.
This is it.
Thank you so much.